Akashic Record Property Clearings. So what are they? Akashic Record Property Clearings are property and house clearings, so any physical space, so a shop, a business, a restaurant, a hotel, a house, a property is located in the Akashic Records in the underneath the property database. So you can go into the Akashic Records and locate a property via the Akashic Records with the exact name and address with the full permission from the owner, and then I'm able to access the property, because remember, the Akashic Records, it stores everything, so everything and anything and anyone is stored via the Akashic Records. So once that is found and located, I go through a scan sheet. So there is a proper formula that I go through, and I'm scanning for certain things within the database of the Akashic Records, the property database. And some of the things that I'm looking for when I'm in there are negative thought forms. So negative thought forms, actually we create them via our mind, and it's when you put so much thought into a certain thought, and there's so much energy that goes into it, and it creates its own actual form separate of us. So we're able to create these within our house, and then they actually just hang around and stick inside the house, and they just hold the energetics of that thought that we were thinking. So if anybody else, for example, walks into the house, they're able to actually pick up on that thought form and start thinking that actual thought, which can be really strange. And if they're negative, they're obviously not good to have around. And we actually unconsciously create these all the time. So that's why it's really important to be conscious with our thoughts and what we are thinking on a day-to-day basis. The next thing that I'm looking for is portals. So portals are like basically doorways that open into this dimension and reality, and they're connected to other dimensions and realities. So it's a portal way that therefore that spirits and entities, etc., are able to actually like jump in the door and travel through into our third dimensional reality here on Earth from other dimensions and realities, so from the spirit worlds, etc., and are able to actually just travel in and out. So it's just like a road that they can use to come in and out of your property or in and out of your house. The next thing is gateways. Gateways are just a massive, larger form of a portalway. So a gateway, you can imagine it's just like a 4-lane highway, and it just like lets in so much more traffic. So many things are coming in and out constantly, and these can be activated and opened, so opened and closed at certain times of the day, certain times of the night, which is really interesting. So I can go in and also find that they may not be active at that time, but I'm still able to shut it down, which is highly beneficial. The next thing that I'm looking at is negative ley lines. So negative ley lines. We all know that there is a ley line, like a grid, that runs across this planet. So a lot of these ley lines and these points that they all go to have actually been hijacked by the Draconians and the Dark Forces. They have set up their cities, their sacred geometry cities, on these certain points and on certain ley lines, and have actually hijacked the energy of these ley lines that run through our planet. So I'm able to scan your actual property and house, or your building or whatever it is, and find whether there's one of these running through the house or the property. Obviously, if it's positive, I'm not going to find it. I'm not looking for positive ones, so they'll be left alone. But anything negative, so the negative ley lines, I'm able to then just transmute it back to its normal energy, which is obviously a great benefit to the whole planet and to everyone on this planet also, just to be able to do that just in your own home and house and property. And the next things that I'm looking for are spirits. So earthbound spirits, ghosts, poltergeists. Those are the different 3 levels and layers of spirits that exist on this earth. There's others as well, but those are the 3 basic ones. Earthbound spirits are spirits or souls of humans that have passed away and have not crossed over to, say, the next realms or the heavens or whatever to be reincarnated. They are usually pass away via very traumatic experiences, or they're not ready to go. A part of them, of their soul, holds on and stays here. So they are cruising around, and they are actually able to attach to people's houses and properties as well, which is really interesting. In North Queensland here, we have a lot of Indigenous here, a lot of Indigenous history that hasn't been the most positive history. And so a lot of them were basically massacred on a mass scale when the first pioneers came here. And so what has happened is a lot of these areas and places in North Queensland and throughout Australia, and this is the same thing in America as well with the Native American Indians, a lot of the spirits didn't actually pass over, so there's a lot of spirits wandering around. And also, so that has caused, a lot of trauma within these souls, and so they're not able to pass on. And when they're not able to pass on, it's of no good to them. Their soul is not able to transition and move on. It is literally just stuck in limbo. And so that's what an earthbound spirit is. Now the next layer, and they've only been here for around, so the earthbound spirits have only been stuck here and here for around up to 50 years. So they really haven't really been stuck or earthbound for that long. We then go into the next layer, which is ghosts. Ghosts have been around for 50 to 100 to 200 to more years. They have been here for a bit longer, and they're starting to learn to use energy. Because don't forget that these spirits, they need to harvest energy off living things, people, animals, etc., so that they can sustain their energy to still be here. They're not energetically able to sustain themselves. So this is the thing with it. And then so the ghosts, they're just another layer. And then the next layer is poltergeists. Poltergeists have been around for a very long time, say hundreds of years. We all hear stories about the haunted houses in America and as many TV shows, and there's paranormal investigators, etc., where they go and investigate these poltergeists. Now, these poltergeists have been around for a very, very long time. A lot of them are extremely traumatized and actually very angry also towards humans. And those are the ones that can lash out and physically harm someone. They're the ones that can make noises. They are the ones that can tap on walls and move objects. And they're obviously very unhappy souls. So it's of great service to be able to locate a property and find these different energies. And when I find the earthbound spirits, the ghosts and poltergeists, it's of great service of them to be able to move them on and to pass them on, because they actually don't really want to be here. They're actually really confused, and they're actually very angry and in a lot of trauma. So it's a great thing to be able to move them on. The next thing also is when I go into the database of the property, I'm actually able to find out whether the property was an Indigenous burial ground, because don't forget, a lot of the lands are like massacre lands and are burial grounds that we don't know about, and that we've just built our houses on, that we've built our properties on, and that creates its own energetics in itself. That's not actually harmonious energy for living, for people to be living on top of that energy and on top of that land. The next thing is sacred sites. So sacred sites are, Indigenous sacred sites. They can be powerful women's places, powerful men's meeting places, the meeting grounds for their ceremonies, for their festivals and for their gatherings, etc. And then the next one is battleground. So where there was like a lot of battle going on. a lot of warfare, fighting, also with the, indigenous, with the white pioneers of the land, the settlers, etc. So that's those three types of land. Humans are not supposed to be living on that land. So yeah, to be able to go in and to change the energetics and change the database back to a very calm and peaceful energetics and land for humans to be able to habitat and to live on in peace and harmony is an amazing. The energy just changes so much once that's cleared. And then the next thing is just smaller things like psychic attack energy fears, anger spears. This is all to do with like anger, fear that gets trapped within the house, within the property, via the inhabitants or people that have lived on the property or within the house in the past, and they have actually trapped, this energy gets trapped within the house and within the land. There's many, many more. Toxic emotional energy. So just toxic emotional energy, if there's lots of anger, if there's lots of depression, lots of, sickness, etc., this can create such a strong toxic energetics that just sticks to the whole energy of the whole matrix of the whole property and the whole house. And programs as well. So literally we can create these programs, different emotional programs, etc. Example, a program of depression. Someone has been living in the house for 10 years and they have been really depressed. They will actually create a program of depression that will actually set into the energetics of the house. So even if that person moves away and then new tenants move into the house, they may move in and, very quickly they may start to feel really depressed and just thinking, wow, where is this coming from? It can come from certain things like this. Our energetics of our house is so important. We have got no idea at how intricate the energetics actually really work of our house and our dwellings. Now, after doing this work for quite a few years and feeling the results within people's houses and the feedback that I've been getting of how different the frequency and the energetics and the harmony is, like it feels literally like it's so frazzled, all the energy, it's like a storm. It's like it's so static. This is how I explain it, and this is how I have felt it, and others have as well when I've been talking to them about before and after of doing these clearings. It feels so static. Like there's just like this static electricity in the air, and just things feel a bit off with all these different things just going on within the space. And after the clearing is done, it just feels like the calm after a storm. So peaceful, so harmonious. I personally won't live in a house now after doing this work and really learning about this work, I just won't live in a place that I haven't cleared or that hasn't been cleared, because it just makes such a big difference. This clearing work can make such a big difference to someone who is buying and selling a home. If you're moving into a rental property, you have got no idea who has been living there before you and what has been going on. It is so much better for your family and for you, and just for peace, harmony, for health, for overall peace, harmony, health, and just a really, really nice energy that just permeates throughout the whole house and throughout the whole property. Thank you.